Photo by Jennifer Stewart. Getty ImagesWe. All know it's going to be a busy offseason for the Oakland Raiders. Not only are they still trying to figure where they'll be playing in 2019, but they've got to wade through the mess that is rebuilding this roster from the ground up while sticking to Jon Gruden's blueprints. Owning 3 first-round picks in the 2019 NFL Draft will help though. We already knew they owned the No. 4 overall selection as a result of their lowly finish in the standings. However, following this past weekend's wildcard action, we now know that they'll also have the No. 24 overall pick courtesy of the Chicago Bears via the Khalil Mack trade. With that information in mind, it only seemed logical to take a look at a few players the Raiders could target at that point in the draft. They've obviously got plenty of issues in need of answering heading into 2019, and a late first-round pick can often translate into an immediate contributor. Finding the right talent to fit this roster won't be easy, though. Luckily, with Gruden calling the shots and new general manager Mike Mayock providing his draft prowess during the process, the Raiders should end up with a difference-maker. We all know they can't do much worse than Reggie McKenzie did during his time in the driver's seat. So without further ado, let's jump right into a few 2019 NFL Draft prospects who could realistically hear their names called when the Raiders make the pick at No. 24. There's no guarantee any of these guys will still be on the board, but it's possible considering what we currently know. Next, finally making an upgrade at LB. Page 2 photo by Ronald Martinez. Getty Images. For some reason, the Raiders have been avoiding the inside linebacker position for years. Every offseason, fans and analysts alike pound the table for them to grab a top linebacker prospect, but it never happens. Will this be the year that changes now that they're under new management? You never know. With 3 first-round picks, the Raiders do have the luxury of using one of those on a non-premium position. Especially if they can find help at defensive end or cornerback with the No. 4 pick, Gruden might just decide going with a linebacker later on day 1 isn't the worst idea in the world. If it ends up being the case, Mack Wilson could be someone worth keeping in mind. I don't think Devin White will still be on the board at this point, which makes the Alabama product the next logical option to provide the Raiders with some high upside talent in the middle of their inferior defense. What really helps Wilson stand out on film is the fact that he can do everything well. While not an elite prospect, he boasts the speed, athleticism and instincts to make an impact on all 3 downs. Considering pass coverage has been a huge sore thumb for the Raiders' recent string of inside linebackers, Wilson seems like the perfect solution to that problem. If Gruden feels like splurging on a linebacker at No. 24, Wilson belongs in the discussion. Page 3 photo by Michael Hickey. Getty Images. For the longest time, the Raiders had struggled to find a true difference maker at the tight end position. They somewhat alleviated that issue with the signing of Jared Cook, but there's no guarantee he returns in 2019 after enjoying a solid 2018 campaign. If that's the case, Gruden must find a legitimate replacement. No longer can the Raiders rely on subpar talent Michael Rivera or other clubs' sloppy seconds Derek Carrier to get the job done. Plus, wouldn't it be ideal to add an elite tight end to this offense? Well, that's exactly what the drafting of Noah Fant at No. 24 would do for the Raiders. So why would he even be available that far down the first round, you ask? Well, for starters, the tight end position isn't exactly seen as extremely valuable. Sure, there are plenty of top-notch playmakers out there, but it just doesn't carry the same value on draft day as more impactful positions like quarterback or defensive end. Still, if Fant is on the board, he would certainly be a tantalizing option. Arguably the best tight end prospect of the last few years, he boasts tremendous athleticism and speed for his size. And while those talents usually come at the cost of blocking ability, that's not the case with the Iowa product. You better believe Derek Carr would be smiling from ear to ear if Fant was the selection here. Next, finding a friend for Conley? Page 4 photo by Kevork Johnsezian, Getty ImagesWe. Put simply, the Oakland secondary was horrendous in 2018. If not for the emergence of Garon Conley as a legitimate one cornerback and sudden progress of Carl Joseph, we may have seen the Raiders field one of the worst pass defenses in recent history. That's why cornerback is among the team's top needs heading into the offseason. They've got Conley to build around, but need more than just one quality cornerback to compete in today's pass-happy NFL. Finding another legitimate playmaker, or two, in the coming months will be imperative to the Raiders being competitive in 2019. Unfortunately, there's a decent chance all of the top cornerback prospects are off the board at 24. So unless the Raiders select Greedy Williams or DeAndre Baker with the 4th overall pick, they may be forced to reach if they're truly invested in upgrading the cornerback position. Want your voice heard? Join the Golden Gate Sports team. Write for us. However, one guy worth mentioning is Julian Love. Although not seen as an elite prospect, the Notre Dame alum brings more than enough talent to the table to at least warrant consideration at this point in the draft. What makes Love special is his ability to get his hands on the football. Over his 3 seasons with the Fighting Irish, he broke up 39 passes and intercepted another 5. He has terrific instincts in coverage, and isn't afraid to mix it up in as a run defender either. It's no grand slam, but taking Love at 24 would get the Raiders' secondary moving in the right direction. Next, adding a weapon for Carr. Page 5 photo by Christian Peterson, Getty ImagesWe. Admittedly, this is the one stretch on this list. The names on here are all relatively realistic targets at 24, but there's no consensus on N'Keal Harry at this moment. Some mock drafts have him going as high as 3, while I've seen him slide all the way towards the end of day 1 elsewhere. So for now, let's just say that the 20 to 25 range is realistic for the former Arizona State star. Now we all know about the Raiders' needs on defense. They've been brought up time and time again across the blogosphere, and will continue to be a talking point until April 25. However, with so much draft capital, Gruden can afford to make some offensive upgrades as well. Harry would be exactly that. And considering the Raiders' dearth of talent out wide right now, it would make perfect sense for the former Sun Devil to be wearing silver and black come September. Trust me when I say that it's not just his first name that makes Harry a unique prospect though. Possessing a rare mix of size, speed and playmaking abilities, he'd be a huge addition to the Oakland offense. Harry would immediately give Carr a physical, reliable target to throw to who can help create more opportunities for other players in the passing game. If he's still there at 24, the Raiders better run to the podium. Next, unearthing a diamond in the rough. Page 6 photo by Rob Foldy, Getty Images. Now let's imagine the Raiders went away from defensive end at 4. For argument's sake, let's work under the assumption they selected Greedy Williams to give them a legitimate complement to Garon Conley as the other starting cornerback. Great, but what about the pass rush? Well, as it turns out, there are plenty of quality edge rushers to be had during the 2019 NFL Draft. It doesn't take landing someone like Nick Bosa or Quinnen Williams at the top of the first round to up the Raiders' sack total in 2019. Then again, after notching only 13 quarterback takedowns this past season, just about anything would help them accomplish that. One guy who could be available at 24 is O'Shane Xamines. There's a decent chance you haven't heard of him if you're not a draft junkie, and that's perfectly acceptable. However, before the 2019 NFL Draft officially gets underway, you will know who this guy is. Yes, he's from a school that doesn't necessarily produce a ton of NFL talent. Yes, he's got a strange name that's hard to pronounce or even spell without looking it up. In the end, though, all that matters is that he can get after the quarterback with the best of them. Examines has the size to serve as either a defensive end or outside linebacker. His burst off the snap is unreal, dominating at the point of attack with his ability to convert speed into power. He also possesses terrific bend around the edge, and just has a knack for hunting quarterbacks. Next, realistic draft options for Raiders at number 4. Passing on an edge defender at No. 4 May seem like a poor decision. And yet, if the consolation prize at No. 24 is Examines, the Raiders will be thanking their lucky stars.